Hello everyone, so today we're focusing on Cambridge IGCSE Mathematics, topic of algebra, subtopic changing the subject of the formula. So what exactly does it mean when we want to change the subject of a formula? So actually it is basically the rearranging of an equation. That's the simplest way to put it. So when you want to rearrange an equation so that it becomes x equals. For example, if you look at this, A is equal to BH is the formula, right? But if I want to make A the subject of the formula, this formula is A equals BH. If I want to make the formula with B as the subject of the formula, then I can rearrange this so that it is B is equal to A over H. If I want to make H as the subject of the formula, then I can do H is equal to A over B. So basically, having the letter with the equal sign on one side of the equation alone is the meaning of making the subject of the formula. So if you can somehow rearrange the formula to make that letter that you want on one side of the equation equal to everything else, then job is done. So let's look at a few other examples of how we can go about this. So here's the first one. Make A the subject of the following formula. So we want to make A the subject. What does that mean? We have to move everything else over. So what do? We multiply the C across. So it becomes DC here. Then we are going to remove the HA. So it becomes plus HA. And then we are going to so they are doing an additional step here. So what's being done is basically they want to make the term with the A positive, so they have taken it to the right hand side, then again move the DC to the other side and then divided by H to remove the H from this side. This is also fine, or if you are simply comfortable, then there is the other way to go about it, which is simply going V squared is equal to so you have that point here where you are having V squared minus HA is equal to DC, right? So rather than moving the HA to the right hand side and all, you can remain the HA here and you can move the V squared to over, and then if you want you can multiply by -1. So this becomes positive V squared minus DC, and then you can divide by H as well. So basically that gives us the same answer, right? So that's also possible. And then moving on, make Y the subject of the formula. Now when there's a square root involved, the opposite of a square root is always a square. So if I want to remove the square root on the left hand side, I have to square the whole thing, which is what's happening in the next line. So B becomes B squared then, and from there I'm moving the A to the other side, and then I'm square rooting to get rid of the y squared. And remember that when you square root, there are two possible answers, right? There's a positive square root and a negative square root. For example, if you take square root of 4, you should know that 2 times 2 is also 4, as much as -2 times -2 is also 4. So therefore, you have to take both sides of the equation, right? Then we have the expanding bracket idea. So if you have to expand brackets and make something the subject of the formula, that's also possible, right? So here I want to make Y the subject. So I'm going to expand both sides, which is what I've done here. Then I'm going to move the terms which have Y onto one side. So I have taken the NY to the left side, and anything that is doesn't have Y to the right side, right? So I have moved MN to the right side. And then I need this Y on its own. So I'm going to factorize out the common Y from MN and MY and NY, leaving me with this expression. And finally, I can divide this by this. More than writing it this way, I think it's ideal if we write it as n squared minus mn all over m plus n. This is more clarity to the examiner as well. All right, and we are going to finish off with the sum questions. So make x the subject of the given formula. 6y is equal to 3x minus 7 over x. So to start off, we have to basically rearrange this. So what I'm going to do is basically multiply the x over to the left hand side. So this becomes 6xy is equal to 3x negative 7. And then I'm going to basically divide off, move the negative 3x to this side, right? So then I'm going to factorize the x out, so that becomes 6y minus 3 is equal to negative 7. And then I need to get rid of this to the other side, so I'm going to divide by 6y minus 3. So therefore, my solution is negative 7 over 6y minus 3, which is basically option number 3. So in the next one, I'm making t the subject of the formula. K is equal to 3srt over 6x. So I'm going to multiply the 6x to the left hand side. So this is 6ks is equal to 3srt. Then I can divide off everything other than the t to the left hand side. So I'm dividing by 3sr, that is going to be equal to t. Then 6 divided by 3 is 2, k can't go anywhere, s's will cancel, r is on the denominator, so finally that's t. And therefore my answer is t equals 2k over r, which is option number 2. And finally, make a the subject of the formula. Okay, so I'm going to factor out the a for this expression. X minus 2b is equal to 4. And from here, what I need is to take x minus 2b to the other side. And that brings us to the end of the problem. And this looks like expression number 1, so option 1. And that brings us to the end of the lesson on changing the subject of the formula.
Subscribe us now for more videos and content.